Most wineries are sending emails, but very few of them have an actual system. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube or the podcast, wherever you are listening or watching from. If you are on the podcast, then you can head over to YouTube. I will link it in the show notes if you actually want to see visuals that go along with this topic. Otherwise, you can just keep on listening on. And for those of you on YouTube, welcome. My name is Chloe, and we help wineries and beverage brands with their online presence, with their email marketing, and also just help them set up modern DTC systems so they have a better line of communication with their audience. And today we're going to talk all about emails, because something I've noticed within the wine space is we are really slow at wanting to adapt to technology. And it breaks my heart because I know that a lot of wineries are very strapped for time. A lot of business owners around the world are very strapped for time and resources. And the internet actually provides such an amazing opportunity for us to really be able to duplicate ourselves in multiple areas at once, and also set up systems and automations that actually work for us behind the scenes while we're busy pouring wines in the tasting room, tending to the vines, whatever it is that you like to do in your day-to-day. We're not leveraging online enough. And there's a real resistance to actually want to use online. And I think it's because a lot of wineries think it doesn't work for us. We don't have a big enough team to make it happen. We just want more sales, and doing an Instagram post is not going to lead to us to more sales. I want to challenge you guys on that, because one, the absolute best online marketing that I have ever seen comes from small wineries, comes from small teams. People really want that intimate experience, and they don't necessarily want to be communicating with a marketing team. They want to be talking to the winemaker. They want to see the family behind the brand, right? So the smaller guys are actually in such a powerful position to be leveraging this. Once you actually set aside some time to, first of all, set up some automations so it can happen behind the scenes. And second of all, make sure that it all connects together in one ecosystem. We don't want to have silos. We don't want to have Instagram operating on its own over here, and a random campaign that goes out on Black Friday over here, and an email list that's sitting in a database that we've never spoken to in the last 6 months. So that's what we're going to dive into in today's session. So we're going to talk about just the first 3 automations that you can get started with. Now, I think the online world is so overwhelming. People are like, I have to have an Instagram account, I have to be on LinkedIn, and I have to be posting live on Facebook. And it can get so overwhelming that we just don't do any of it because we don't know how or where to start. So I have worked with multiple brands. I've worked on multiple platforms. I know the ins and outs of how the online space works after working in this space with wineries for over a decade. And I can tell you that the lowest hanging fruit is sitting within your emails. It's not sitting on Instagram. It's not sitting on Facebook. It's sitting within your email platform, and it's sitting within automations. So stop sending the campaigns. Stop sending the newsletters. Stop sending the vineyard updates. They are all great, but they only are great when they're stacked on top of a base, and that base is your automations. So let's talk about that first 3 flows that you absolutely need to put in place like tomorrow in order for you to leverage the online space so you can go and do and spend the time doing what you really want to do. Number 1 is your welcome flow. This is so incredibly important, and it's so underrated. I want you to think about when people walk into your tasting room. Can you imagine if somebody walked into your tasting room and you didn't even say hello? You didn't even tell them how they could have an experience today with you. You didn't tell them how they could try your wines today. You didn't tell them who you are or what wines you even make or how long you've been around. You didn't speak to them. You just let them come in and then just went silent. That is what is happening with a lot of online ecosystems. People are subscribing to learn more about you. Maybe they have subscribed to your newsletter. Maybe they've signed up to your 10% discount. Maybe they have downloaded a lead magnet. And if you haven't seen that video, check out this other video that I'm going to link, or this podcast episode that I'm going to link, so you can learn more about how to attract the right audience, because discounts are actually a thing of the past, but I talk about that in that video, so you can go check it out. But maybe people are signing up and then they're not being communicated with. They're not being told where to go. That they sign up and then the next email that they hear from you is on Christmas, talking about your holiday specials that you just go straight into selling to them. It's like someone walking through the door and you skip the whole tasting experience. You just slap your promotion wine on the table and say, here, buy this. You guys are so good at giving people experiences in the wine industry. It's just translating that online. So having a welcome flow. It could be a series of, I like to do 5 emails. And over the 5 emails, we talk about where the winery is, what wines they make, what their values are. Like, are they organic? Are they natural winemakers? Does the family have a history of making some Rieslings that are rivaling some of the best in the world? Is your region a really underdog region that nobody has heard about before and they want to learn more about the Great Southern in Western Australia? So really, first of all, understanding what makes your winery different, what makes it special, which I'm sure you know because you have this in the cellar door, right? You've probably trained your staff in the cellar door on this kind of stuff, and just translating that online into a welcome flow. 5 emails, spaced apart. You can put 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 days in between each email, but setting this up automatically, so once it's done, the lead comes in, the email address registers, the person knocks on your door and wants to find out more. They are getting drip fed this information, which warms them up to you, lets them know why you're important, and more importantly, lets them know what's in it for them. Why should they be there? Why should they care? So another thing to note here is that maybe people are joining your list from your cellar door as well. So once they leave the cellar door, once they've made the purchase, they still want to be in your world. So keep that online relationship going after they have left your physical house of wares, once they have left your physical shop. And then to take it one step further, I really want you to think about your welcome flow as you are describing all of the values that are important to you. Translate it and write it in a way that actually puts the customer at the center of that journey. So you always want to make sure that you're relating your information back to your audience in a way that makes them care about it. I think another issue that I see with a lot of welcome flows, it's a lot about the winery, it's a lot about us, it's a lot of me, our family this, our medals, our awards, we're so great at blah, 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 blah. Now there is a place for that language, but it shouldn't be the main message. When somebody comes into your funnel, they want to know immediately what is in it for them. So for an example, with organic wines, it's great that you do organic farming, but how does that change the wine that I get in my glass? How does that change the way that I should store my wine or serve my wine, or how does that directly impact me? See the difference? All right, so the second flow you absolutely have to have, and remember, this is automated. I'm going to say that so many times because once you've done it, it's like really set and forget. Yes, you have to kind of stay on top of it and tweak it, and you can always improve things, but really if you just get these 3 done, you're going to start noticing your ecosystem coming together. So these are some of the hottest leads you have, right? These are people who are on your website, clicking around, adding stuff to their cart, adding wines to their cart, and then for some reason, they didn't follow through. In today's age, like, we are surrounded by so many distractions. Maybe the kids call out because they're hungry, or you get a phone call all of a sudden from a friend and suddenly we're focused on something else and we forget to purchase the wine. So you want to have an abandoned cart. 30 minutes to an hour later after they've added it to cart and they haven't purchased, just a prompt, a reminder, hey, Sally, we've got these wines waiting in the cart. Would you still like them? It is just a really gentle nudge that encourages those people that are so ready to buy to just make that final purchase. Maybe they do need a little bit more proof from you. Maybe they're not 100% sold on the Riesling or the Shiraz or the Cabernet because of the price point, or they're not sure if it's going to go with the meal that they're making or if the person that they're buying it for is going to like it. So you do want to stack some social proof. This is when your medals come in, or your reviews from critics, or some notes around what to pair the wine with. This is when you can start layering in more of those credentials which help them make the purchase. Now again, don't leave that at one email. You can have 2 emails, you can have 3 emails, you could have 10 emails if you had enough good content to be valuable enough for that flow. Start with 3. Maybe the first one, they're still busy when they receive that email. The kids took them on a detour and they had to go search the town for fish and chips because that's all the kids wanted to eat. Maybe they went down a rabbit hole on their phone, on Instagram, watching some new trailer for a film that came out. Who knows? So follow up again. It's okay to send an email the next day as well, just letting them know, hey, you can't hold on to these wines forever. You do have a limited supply. There are other people shopping on the website wanting to buy them. You can't hold on to them, right? Obviously, don't use any false scarcity. Make sure that it's legit. And if you don't have that kind of scarcity, like you do have unlimited supplies of the wine, then it's okay to just prompt them with more testimonials, prompt them with more education, like serving tips, like how do you serve this wine? Do you need to let it open and breathe for a while? What temperature should you serve it at? Any pairing cues that you have. So just drip feeding information. It's really just about building the relationship because that person still isn't 100% convinced. And what do you do when someone's not 100% convinced to, say, go out on a date with you? Say you are courting with someone and you ask them out for a date and they're not quite ready or quite convinced. You keep building the relationship. You don't just say, okay, bye, and never speak to them again. You keep working on that relationship until they know you better, they like you better, they trust you better. So this is why it's so important to keep the relationship alive, by keep drip feeding and keep building the trust through value, education, relationship, humor, however you like to do it. And flow number 3 is going to absolutely be your post-purchase flow. This is where a lot of wineries are missing out on massive opportunity, guys, because once someone has purchased from you once, it's so much easier to keep a current customer than it is to go out and find new ones. So you want to do everything in your power to really make that experience from that person who purchased one of your wines the best possible experience that they can. You want to keep top of mind so they don't go jumping to another brand. And the way that you do that is through a post-purchase flow. So say someone does buy a bottle of your Shiraz. Don't just stop talking to them after they've bought it. Continue the experience. Talk to them more about the Shiraz. Maybe it's like you're talking more about the vintage that they purchased and what it was like out in the vineyards that year, and what are some other ways that they can enjoy that wine, what foods do pair with it, or what are the serving kind of guidelines, like how can they get the best out of that product? What is a good temperature to serve Shiraz at? If it is a wine for aging, is there any storage tips that they should know? I think that we get so familiar in the wine industry thinking that people just know this stuff, like it's a given because we have such this passion for wine and we've been learning about it forever. But a lot of consumers don't, and they feel empowered when you can help them understand best how to enjoy their wine, how to impress their guests when their guests come over. Like, how should they be serving it? Should they use a decanter? Should they not? I think we also have this issue in the industry, or we think education is bad. Don't over-educate your audience. Yes, you can over-educate and it's not great, but not educating at all, it's still a product that is complex. It's still a product that people who are interested in wine do want to learn more stuff about it. I think it's just about maintaining a balance and also making sure that it aligns with your brand. If you're not into the whole education stuff and you really are just a fun, natty winemaker, and your brand is more about just casual sipping and having fun, your post-purchase can get a lot more quirky. It doesn't have to be education. It can be humor. It can be like telling jokes about natty wine. It can be like a bit of tongue-in-cheek around people who are wine snobs and how you guys are not. It's just really extending the culture and providing some value. And the way that you can do that is also through emotion. You can make people laugh. You can make people cry. You can make people feel empowered. It's all about just making people feel something. And at the end of the day, post-purchase is the best way to do that. And while you're doing that, you're also reminding people to restock. So maybe on the 4th or 5th email, after a month, 6 weeks, whenever the typical kind of second purchase does happen at your winery, prompt them again. Hey, did you need a top up of that 2022 Shiraz? We've got a couple of cases left. Or, hey, you really like that Shiraz, that 22 Shiraz? Have you explored our Cab Sav? It's similar but different. You might enjoy it. So keeping your brand and your wine top of mind and making it as easy as possible for people to remember you and repurchase from you. And that's the whole game. So yeah, here are a couple of like examples: food pairing ideas, serving suggestions, stories behind that specific wine, harvest notes, something fun like a Shiraz playlist. Hey, we curated this playlist on Spotify that you can enjoy with that bottle of Shiraz. We think it pairs perfectly. Again, this is where you really get to shine your brand personality and just have a lot of fun. And you can have so many different post-purchase flows, obviously, depending on different products, different vintages, if it's just white or red. But you can also just start super simple. Just start for one. It doesn't have to be product specific. It can be just general purchases. Replace Shiraz with wine. How did you like your last case of wine, etc. So start by setting up these 3 automations, and there are so many more we can go into, like inviting people to enjoy your wine club, sunset flow, which is to try and clean up your list and get rid of people who are not engaging with your content, which you don't want on your list because you're paying for that list and you're probably paying for the software, so it's better to just shed that dead weight. You can do just like a browsing website flow. There are so many ways you can get creative with this, but start with these 3 and get them set up, get them automated, get them running properly in the background, because that's when your marketing starts to become so much more powerful and so much more scalable. So then you can start working on your campaigns and your seasonal content, but you do have all of the automations doing the hardest part of the job, which is sales, etc. So stick around, guys. Make sure to follow us on this podcast or subscribe. We're going to be sharing a lot more of this kind of content so you can up-level your marketing, so you can leverage the online space in the way that you're supposed to, and you can survive this digital revolution. See you in the next video.